Hey, Todd, why don't you tell everybody how we met since it is one of our anniversaries?
Well, this is a good story. So, January 16th, 1988, go over to my best friend at the time, go over to his house. He is in the shower, so I go in his bedroom, sitting on his bed. And, back then there wasn't cell phones, there wasn't, heck, I didn't even have a pager back then. So you kept phone numbers either really in a black book or in your wallet. And my buddy didn't know enough people to really have a black book, so I knew he had some phone numbers in his wallet. So I grabbed his wallet, and I'm looking at these phone numbers, and I'm yelling out these names of these girls to him while he's in the shower. And I come across your name, Connie Heimer, and he says, "You should call her. You'd really like her." So, I'm never one to not take part in a dare. I go downstairs to the kitchen, and I grab the phone, and this phone had a 100-mile cord on it, which was a good thing. Walk back upstairs with it to his bedroom, and I call the phone number on the piece of paper. This little girl answers the phone, and I asked if I could talk to Connie Heimer. "Well, just a minute," she says. I have never met this girl in my life. I have no idea who she is, never heard her voice. So a woman comes on the phone. Now, you gotta remember, I'm 19 years old. She's 19 years old. But a female, we'll just put it that way, comes on the phone and just says hello. And I proceed to spew out this big line of BS. And back then I was pretty good at that. I'm still pretty good at it, probably, some people would say. But anyway, at the end of this big old line of BS on how we met at some party and I got your phone number, blah, 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 this woman says, "Well, this is her mother and she is not here right now." And I'm like, oh, shit. So I get up, she's talking away, I can hear her on the phone, but I'm not holding it up to my head. I get up, I walk downstairs, through the living room, through the dining room. I'm in the kitchen. I am literally 3 feet away from the phone to hang up the phone. And I hear this, "Well, just a minute. She just walked in the door." So if that phone would have had a short cord on it and I'd have been standing by the phone, I'd have never met you, ever. And that caused me to not hang up. And you got on the phone. And I repeated almost word for word the exact line of BS that I told your mother, not knowing it was your mother. And at the end of this, you were not too sure. You're like, "I don't know that we've ever met. I don't remember your voice. I don't remember that party." And I was pretty adamant that we had met. But regardless, we talked for at least 45 minutes on the phone. And somewhere in there, I don't remember exactly when it was in that conversation, you were like, "Well, if we've met, what do I look like?" And I have never seen you one time in my life. I'm looking at my buddy, I'm like, What she look like? What she look like? What she look like? I'm not going to repeat what he said, but it was a pretty good one, and I repeated that. And I think you thought, well, this dude's got some balls. So that's the only explanation I have for you not hanging up on me when I repeated what he said. So anyway, at the end of the conversation, we hung up to never talk again. And my buddy and I decided, we lived in Sedgwick, Kansas. We decided we were going to go to Newton, Kansas and eat pizza for dinner at Pizza Hut. So I called you back up because apparently I did have some balls back then. I called you back up and I said, hey, we're going to Pizza Hut. I'd sure like to see you. And your response was, well, I might show up. And you said if you could get a girlfriend to come with you, that, you know, you might just be there. Okay, so I hung up. Didn't think in a million years that you would ever show up. So we go where Pizza Hut back then used to serve beer, and we're sitting there drinking a beer, ate dinner, having a beer, and you're not there. You're not coming. This is a strikeout. And about the time we're getting ready to leave, you come walking in the door. And all I could think was, wow, my buddy was totally not even close. Everything was better than what he said. I was very impressed. I mean, you were drop dead gorgeous. Anyway, we had made up the deal that whoever you sat by was going to ask you out because he was the one that had your phone number and I was the one that you had never met, and sure as shit, you sit next to him. I didn't know it at the time, but you sat next to him because when you walked in, I'd never mentioned my buddy ever. I never mentioned that I knew him. I never mentioned that's where I got your phone number. Never mentioned him. Anyway, you walked in and you immediately seen him and you're like, yep, that's not going to happen. And then you seen me and I was 6'2", weighed about 190 pounds, not bad. Had mullet, beard. Anyway, you wanted to sit across from me so we could talk, and I didn't know that at the time. Anyway, we're sitting there, we're talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And somewhere in here, my buddy is supposed to ask you out on a date because you sat next to him. Well, he never did. That's probably why his phone number, your phone number was in his wallet for 3 years, and he never called you. Anyway, I finally got tired of waiting, and I asked you out on a date, and to my bewilderment, you said, sure. And that started what we have. It was 6 months to a year. I don't really remember. It's been too long ago that we just hung out. We became really good friends. And then we became more than friends. And then we became a couple. And that was the most important phone call of my entire life. And I don't know what my life would be like today if I hadn't met you. But because we did meet and because we did date, and because we did become a couple, we have 2 amazing daughters, we have 2 amazing son-in-laws, and we have 3 amazing grandkids. That would have never happened if I hadn't made that phone call. So that's the story of how me and you met. And don't know too many people that can top that one.